Hi everyone, I'm Terry Hartley with Rustic Barn Cards. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. And as you can see, I'm in the holiday spirit because Christmas 2020 is around the corner. And I'm glad you're here. I'm going to share a Buckle Fun Fold card with you today. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. I'm trying to grow my channel and I would really appreciate it. The card I'm going to show you today, you can use any stamp set and make the card. And I have two variations on the belt and how you slide it into the card. So all the dimensions for the cards are the same except for the belt piece. So let's turn the camera down and let's start stamping. Okay, so this is the sample of my Buckle Fold card. And I'm going to make one just like it, only using a different DSP, but from the same set. So here I've used the metallic mesh ribbon that is in our mini catalog. And I stamped and punched out using the Perfectly Plaid stamp set. And I'll be using several elements from this today. And it has a punch that punches out all of the trees. And then the Merry Christmas is from the Curvy Christmas stamp set. So all the dimensions on the cards I'm going to show you today are the same, except some of them, the belt piece, and that's this piece right here that comes out, and then you just kind of slide it in. So the belt piece will be different. That's the only dimension that will be different on some of the cards, but I'll explain that to you as we go. So right now, we're going to make a card just like this one, only again, I'm going to be using a different DSP. But it's from the same set, Feels Like Frost. And then the dimensions I'll show you as I go, but it will also be in the description down below. And on this card, I did use vellum after I stamped the tree and using Highland Heather, and I cut it and I punched it out, and then I punched out vellum and glued it over that, and then used the basic rhinestones. Okay, so what you'll need for your base, you're going to need an 8.5 by 4 1/4 card base scored at 5 1/2. So that's what I have here. 8.5 by 4 1/4, and then I scored it at 5 1/2. And then you'll want a piece, a cardstock in the same color, so whatever solid base that you've chosen, cut at 2 by 4 1/2, and you're scored at 1 inch. And this is going to be our belt piece. And then for the inside, you're going to need DSP cut at 2 3/4 by 4 inches. I'm going to use this one for the inside. And actually, you'll need two DSP cut at the same. One for inside and one for the front. And of course, you'll want the DSP to be different. Or I did anyway. I guess you could have them the same. So another piece of DSP, 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And this will be on the front of the card. And then you'll need Whisper White for your greeting. And that's 2 1/4 by 4 inches. And this will be, we'll stamp the greeting on. And then for this card, you're going to need the solid color, and I'm using Night of Navy. I think I forgot to tell you what color that was, Night of Navy. 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, so it is a square. All right, so now I'm going to lay those aside. and bring in my silicone craft sheet and my adhesive. So what I want to do, I'm going to put, it folds like this, I'm going to put adhesive right in here. I'm going to put quite a bit. And then this is going to be the front piece. So this is the back. So I want to put the glue on the back. So I'm going to turn this is the front that I want to use. So I'm going to turn it over like this and place it right here. And then I want it in the middle. So I need to look at that and try to get it as close in the middle as I can. And then I will fold this down. Okay. Now, while I have it this way, I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive. And I'm going to use liquid glue. You could use your Stampin' Seal or whatever glue that you choose. I want to make sure I get it in the corners. Okay, and so now I'm going to bring in my card base. And I want to turn this around this way. So here's the fold. So this is the front of the card, but I'm going to put this over on the right-hand side. Bring that out so you can see. Okay. So I'm going to here's the belt. So I'm going to put it on the right-hand side. And then I want to leave a little bit of the Night of Navy edge of the solid cardstock around. Okay, and then I'll press this down. I'm going to lay that aside and bring in our Whisper White piece so we can stamp a greeting. So I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy ink pad. And I'm using May the special season be wrapped in love and joy. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. And I could put it in the middle, but I'm going to kind of put it up here a little bit. That way you have room that you can write your name. Okay, we'll close this up. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this to the inside of the card. So I've added adhesive. I'm going to bring our card base back in. And again, we're going to kind of make this edge kind of even. Make sure it's even at the top. And again, leave a little border around. And then we also need to make sure it's straight. Okay. So this is really a fairly quick and easy card to make, and it's a fun card. Now I'm ready to add the DSP on the front. So I'm going to turn that over. And I added Stampin' Seal. So I'm going to bring this, I'm going to open it up just because it's easier for me. Okay, and then I already stamped Merry Christmas, and that came from the Curvy Christmas. So I stamped it at the close I could to the bottom of a scrap of Whisper White, and then I trimmed it right at the top. So I think this is about 2 1/4 inches long and about 1/2 inch wide. I'll have the exact dimensions down below. So I'm going to add this piece right here. I'm going to pop it up, and then this is what our belt will slide right underneath. And then we'll decorate the front. So because I'm going to do that, I'm going to add dimensionals here, down here, and down here. But I want to leave this open so my belt can go in. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over and add dimensionals. So I have added 8 dimensionals, 2 rows on one side. So I haven't taken the caps off, but I want to make sure that it's going to work. So I'm just holding and putting the dimensionals on the left-hand side, kind of holding that, and then taking, and there isn't anything obstructed in my way. So now I'm going to take the caps off. And then I am going to make sure those dimensionals are on the left-hand side of your card. And we'll get it kind of even. And then we will, so there you go. Our belt fits right in and comes out. I don't think I should have moved that down just a little bit, or move this up a little bit. Let me see if I can fix it. So I would suggest maybe holding your belt over, and then you can kind of line it up. Okay, now that looks better. And then I'm going to use silver foil sheet. So on page 153 of our annual catalog, you'll see these foil sheets. And you get 2 single-sided sheets for $5. So they are something that you do want to think about before you use them, because they are a little bit pricey. But they are 12 by 12, so there is quite a, you are able to get quite a bit of use and product out of those. So I'm going to bring in a strip of the foil sheet and my punch. So I'm going to, and I think I'll turn it this way to get the most. There we go. And we're going to pop this up with the dimensionals. I thought with the silver on our card that this would be kind of add an element to that. But before I do that, I want to make sure I have room for my Merry Christmas. So I'm going to turn my Merry Christmas sentiment over and add dimensionals. So I've added 3 dimensionals. We'll make sure it's going the right way, right? And we'll put this down at the bottom on our blue Night of, or on our Night of Navy cardstock. And now I will turn the tree over and add dimensionals. And I've added dimensionals, taken the tops off, bring our card back in, and I'm going to set that right here. Then I'm going to bring in our metallic mesh ribbon. I'm going to leave it on the spool. That way I won't waste too much, hopefully. But since I think you always want to keep this cap and turn this upside down when you store it, so it'll be easier when you go to use it. Okay, so I am going to make this, I'm going to try to make this bow on camera, just in case you don't know how to make a bow. And there's lots of different ways, but I just kind of make, like, I guess, like the bunny ears. Works for me. And then fold it over. And then you can kind of hang on to the middle knot and get it like you want before you pull it tight. And then I'm going to add that right here, but I still needs to be a little bit smaller. So we'll just, and then take my scissors. and snip. And lay that aside. And I think we'll still probably need to give the ends a little bit more of a haircut. Okay, and bring in a glue dot. And I am thinking about, I'm going to add 2 to the back, 2 glue dots, just to make sure that it stays on because it is on the belt. And here is our first card. It opens up, may this special season be wrapped in joy, in love and joy. And then your belt just fits right back in there. So here's the sample card, and this is the card we made. We're going to make another card, and the only difference is the dimensions on the belt, and I'm going to fasten it a little bit differently. So rather than just sliding it in, I'm going to be using a punch to make an opening. So stay with me, and then stay with me to the end because I have a card with a buckle fold, but I've used the gnomes. So that'll be the last card I'll show you. Okay, for my next card, I'm going to be using the Perfectly Plaid stamp set. And this time I'm going to be using the actual sentiment Merry Christmas and North Pole Delivery. And I'll be using both of these, I'll stamp both of these trees and punch them out. The dimensions will be the same, only all but one. So for the belt, you will want to cut out 2 by 6 inches and score that at 1 inch. And we scored it at 1 inch before, but this piece will be a little bit longer than the card that I just made. And I'm going to be using Real Red and Shaded Spruce ink. And then the 2 trees. And I have Merry Christmas. I'm also going to be using for decoration from the curvy dies. I'm going to be using these little leaf here, and I'm going to put it on Shaded Spruce and die cut that. And then I'm also going to be using, instead of the square like I did on my first card on the front, I'm going to be using layering ovals. And I'm going to be using the oval with a little trim on it. And I'll be using the tree stamp, the tree punch again. And then I'm going to be using the Timeless label to make my opening for my belt to slide in. And if I had a classic label, so if you have a classic label, that would probably work even better. But I don't have a classic label punch, so I'm going to be using the Timeless label, which you'll see also works. Okay, let me show you the card. Before I show you the card, I am going to be using the DSP from the Heartwarming Hugs. And this is on page 9 of the mini catalog. And these are 12 by 12 sheets. And then, of course, they are two-sided on the back also. A lot of fun designs. So here's our card. And I've already attached the belt. And again, this piece is longer than the first belt piece on the other card. So I've already started the card. I added DSP. I stamped Merry Christmas. And I put the DSP on the front. And I did go ahead and punch out the opening, but I want to show you how I did that. So you would just open up your card. like this so there isn't anything underneath. And take your punch. Now I can go even a little bit further. If I went all the way, I could have clipped more. So I'm trying to keep it kind of in the middle. So I brought it back. And so I'm kind of eyeballing it, kind of doing the best I can, just looking at it, and kind of, I just punched it right in the middle. So I went through the card base and the DSP. And then this will fold like this. But of course we want to cover this up. So then I use the oval and I die cut that out. And I stamped a tree in shaded spruce. And I stamped North Pole Delivery. And then I ended up with ink on my hands. And I have a little smudge. But we can take care of that. Okay, but what I want to show you is how to attach this piece on here. Because we need to make sure that we have an opening so we can place our belt in our slot. So I'm going to take a dimensional and I'm going to use 2 of the smaller dimensionals, and I'm going to put one at the top of the opening and one at the bottom. Okay, and then see, that will cover that. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the left side. And I'm going to go ahead and use the larger ones for that. So I've added 3 dimensionals on the left side, and I've already taken the caps off of all of these. So I'm just going to turn this over. And I'm going to place it right there. Then I'm going to bring in my 2 sprigs that I die cut out. And tree in real red and shaded spruce. And I went ahead and used the punch and cut out the vellum tree. And I'm just going to add a little adhesive on the back of the vellum. And place that right here. And add some adhesive on the back of the tree. Remember, if your stamp and seal doesn't start, you can just start it on the silicone craft sheet. And then I'm just going to kind of overlap it just a little bit, so you can see the vellum through there. And I'm going to add my next, actually I'm going to add my sprigs before I add my next tree. That way I can place those where I want them, decide, and that looks good. Okay. I could use glue dots, or I'm just going to add a little adhesive on the back. And I can put it right here because I'll cover that up with my other tree. But you could use glue dots. And then I'll bring in my tree. And you could pop these up with dimensionals if you wanted to also. And there's our card. So again, this card, and you have Merry Christmas, and you could decorate over here. And you could add some decorations here. And it looks like I'll need to put something over here because on this card, I did not put my dimensionals over far enough. So that's something that maybe I can prevent you from doing. So make sure you look and make sure your dimensionals are not showing. So what I'll do is I'll add another oval here with some decoration. And then you just close your belt like this. And then we're going to add some embellishments to cover up our little smudge. So I could use the Holiday Rhinestone Basic Jewels. This comes in several different colors. Or I could use the Wonderful Gems. So I think I'm going to use the Wonderful Gems. And I take your pick tool. And I'm going to use the larger one just because of that smudge. I want to make sure that it covers. And it does. So I want to fix the inside. So I'm going to open this up. And I die cut an oval. And I'm going to stamp the ho ho ho. And I'm going to bring in DSP from the front and my tree punch. And we are going to punch out a tree and pop that up too. And I want to make sure I get this stamp on my block straight, so I'm going to turn it and use the edge of the grid paper. And bring in my block G. And pick it up, and it will be straight. Now I'm going to grab open my shaded spruce ink. All right, ink up my stamp. And we'll move this before I get more smudges on my fingers. So I get more smudges on our card. And then I'm going to pop up the tree. And I just put 2 dimensionals on the back. I'm going to pop that up right here. Then I'm going to turn this over. And I'm going to put a dimensional on the top and the bottom because I need to leave the side open so my belt will slide in there. So dimension on the top and the bottom. There we go. And then we'll just slide this right in here. It always works off camera. All right, and then just slide it right in there. And there we go. North Pole delivery. And then I said, if you stayed with me to the end, I had a card using the gnome. So it is a fun fold buckle card. And here it is. Merry Christmas, the little gnome, and I stamped the house in Pear Pizzazz ink, the same as Merry Christmas. I added here I added the Holiday Rhinestone Jewels. And here I use the punch, only I put the dimensionals over far enough so you don't see them. And may this special season be wrapped in love and joy. And again, this is all from the Perfectly Plaid stamp set, except the gnome, of course, and the little house is from the Holiday Gnomes, which is actually called Gnome for the Holidays. So I did use the house and the little gnome. But everything else, the sentiments, are from the Perfectly Plaid. So we have 2 cards that we used. Our punch to stamp the opening for the belt. And then we have 2 cards that we used cardstock. And we just slide that under there. So let me know which one that you like the best. And if you put an order in for the month of December and your order is less than $150, make sure you use the new host code for December. I'll be having a class in January, a kit class out of the new mini catalog. So be watching for information on that. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I'm just starting my channel. I've only been posting videos for a few months. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. It would warm my heart. I'd appreciate it. And thank you to those of you that have subscribed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Some fun fold cards, and you could use it with any set. So you can make these with any set that you have. Thank you for watching. Be kind. Have a great week.